Tonight, we begin with a decision that legal analysts, constitutional scholars, and court observers had anticipated, debated, and quietly prepared for. A ruling that did not unfold over years of litigation or endless procedural delays, but instead came together in a single day. Hours that reshaped Donald Trump's legal strategy, hours that erased what remained of his final defense, and hours that fundamentally altered the path forward. What Trump attempted in court crossed a line the judiciary had hoped would remain intact, and once that line broke, the Supreme Court responded swiftly, decisively, and without hesitation. For months there had been subtle signals. Not official filings, not public statements, but tonal shifts inside court proceedings, suggesting Trump was preparing something legally aggressive. He has always been confrontational, but also calculated in that confrontation. His legal strategy followed a familiar pattern: delay, challenge legitimacy, repeat. But this week, that pattern suddenly went quiet, and legal experts know that when Trump's legal machinery goes silent, it often means a major move is imminent. Court watchers noticed the indicators immediately. No leaks, accelerated scheduling, narrowly focused questions. Then, sudden clarity. All of it pointed toward a moment of reckoning. Because when Trump goes quiet, the system braces for noise. Early today, court observers detected what they described as a decisive procedural ruling, including explicit language rejecting the immunity-style arguments Trump's team had relied on for years. These are defenses Trump deploys only when he's signaling something specific: delay, escape, or delegitimization. Observers didn't yet know which one applied, or whether all three were in play, but it was clear Trump was shifting legal posture. And when a former president alters strategy without explanation, the judiciary pays attention. The Supreme Court's response was anything but routine. It was not symbolic. It was not slow. It was urgent. Sources familiar with deliberations described Trump's argument as overreaching, unsupported, and, most critically, dangerous to constitutional precedent. The court recognized that allowing this defense would place presidents above the law, and legal strategy only works if the court hesitates. This time, it did not. Within hours, the court shut the door. These were not minor procedural adjustments. They were substantive limits, the kind the court uses only when it intends to end a legal pathway entirely. The ruling targeted Trump's remaining real defense, not immunity itself, but delay. The justices cut it off before it could be repackaged, recycled, or reintroduced under a new label. They struck at jurisdictional arguments. They dismantled procedural loopholes. They neutralized timing strategies designed to run out the clock. In other words, they targeted the machinery, not the messaging. The infrastructure that made delay possible. That is what made this ruling so consequential. Trump's move was not symbolic. It was actionable. And the court responded with force, not recklessly, not emotionally, but strategically. They didn't expand the case unnecessarily. They didn't politicize the language. They struck precisely where the pressure points were. Here is where the story becomes even more revealing. Legal analysts now believe Trump's move was a test, a probe of judicial resolve after months of political pressure. Trump wanted to see whether the court would blink. Instead, the court responded with a ruling so controlled and so airtight that it immediately drew attention from Trump's own legal team. You don't get Trump's attention easily, but today, the court did. Analysts describe this as containment, a deliberate effort to prevent escalation while preserving accountability. And in doing so, the court demonstrated that it is neither passive nor intimidated. It is active, deliberate, and prepared. That matters because it shows this moment is not about politics, but about institutional boundaries. Trump believed delay could function as protection. Tonight, that belief collapsed. The court made clear that time is not a shield, and procedural games will not override constitutional responsibility. As the legal process moves forward, More details will emerge about what Trump hoped to achieve with this final maneuver. But what we know tonight is that the court's action was timely, effective, and stabilizing. It clarified the law, it narrowed the battlefield, and it reinforced the principle that no individual, not even a former president, is beyond accountability. And for the first time in a long time, Trump's legal operation appears quiet. Too quiet. When Trump is quiet, it means he's recalculating. Because tonight, he learned something fundamental. Delay is not immunity. Power has limits, and the courts are prepared to enforce them. This story is far from over. But tonight, one thing is clear. Trump's final defense is gone. The legal path ahead is narrower, and accountability is no longer theoretical. It's operational.